Like my scout, right?
I loved it as always. Yeah, welcome to Tavern Talk, a spoiler-filled talk show based on the epic fantasy series The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. My name is Ryan, and joining me as always are my co-hosts Brother Dan and Jansen Lashley Haynes.
Hey guys.
This is going to be a great show. We have some guests lined up, but I just want to say hello to everyone who's watching. Thank you for joining us. I do hope you enjoy the show. We have fumbling. Okay, yeah. Let's bring in the guests real quick. We have joining us are Glenn and Jenn.
Hey, there.
Hey everybody.
Oh, let's go.
Welcome, guys.
Friends.
That's awesome. That's the best. Jen, you're welcome every time from now on. If you're going to do that, that's amazing.
You're not stealing her from my show.
She must be a joy to work with.
I'm glad we have the Keeper of the Chronicles because I really want to talk about this shut up Terrio that she has. She just bangs it once and everyone shuts up.
She reminds me of a teacher in a class, like getting everyone to like be on their best behavior. Liani, don't mess with her for sure.
This is my time, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Hi, welcome, guys. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
And it's been a very long
Good
time.
to be back.
Glenn, welcome back again. I liked the background.
Love it.
So-
Think it's awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
Why
you.
not? Why not?
And I'm in my own little cubby over here in my own little corner, but I'm happy to be here. It's been a little while, but I'm ready to talk deep dive about episode 6 of The Wheel of Time and everybody's. Jansen had some really good points that I can't wait for us to all kind of sink our teeth into. So I'm really excited to be here. Let's.
Awesome.
Before we do that, Ryan, do we want to talk about our the official sponsor of The Way of the Leaf?
Yes,
Horse
one
Cat Coffee
of
Company?
we have two sponsors, but yeah, let's take care of some business right off the bat.
Way of the Leaf are proud to be partnering with Tourist Hat Coffee Company. Tourist Hat Coffee Company is a family-owned business with a strong belief in giving back to the community. Tourist Hat Coffee Company is a social purpose business whose mission is to bring people the absolute best in small batch coffee while supporting children at home and around the world. And if you go to touristhatcoffeecompany.com and use the promo code LEAF2022, you'll get 5% off your entire order. We hope Tourist Hat Coffee Company becomes your family's coffee of choice. Remember, a part of each order goes to an amazing charity and helps allow us to continue doing this show each and every week. So go to touristhatcoffeecompany.com and use promo code LEAF2022 and receive 5% off your entire order.
Yeah, that's right.
It really is super inexpensive anyways. What was it, like $12 for 14 ounces or
ounce
something?
bag.
I mean, yeah, I mean it's for artisan coffee, for espresso, for Tanzania. I had you like the Costa Rican and the what else, Ryan? Another duck roast.
The Bali.
Bali, that's it. But yeah, they have all kinds, and you can still order. Get some for Christmas. If you have a coffee snob in your life, you should have a coffee snob because they're excellent conversationalists. They read lots of poetry, and you should send them some Tourist Hat.
And they sweat a lot.
They sweat a lot sometimes, not in the winter, but you know.
All right, yeah. So thank you. Thanks for enduring that. We love them. They are actually a socially conscious business, and they do donate proceeds to help children around the world. Just getting to know these people has been a joy. All right, so let's get into the episode.
Yes. So, guys, before we start, we want to tell everybody out there, all of the people watching, that this is definitely a spoiler alert show. We're going to be talking about a lot of different things from all of the books, and from things to come, and from things that have happened in the past. So you are someone who loves to be surprised, who loves to get these things into your own head by yourself. You might not want to watch this until you've read all the books and caught up. And without further ado, we're going to start with episode 6, titled "The Flame of Tar-Valon." Now, this is a title that they have pulled from another book in the series. That this was not in the Iroh, and that's due to because they wanted to bring some things into the fold a lot faster for our show viewers than it did for most of us book readers. And with that, I also want to say one thing, one kind of shout out. It's to the director who also directed season 5. Her name is Sally Richardson Winfield. She is a very accomplished voiceover actress, known for her work with the show Gargoyles. And she was also the lead actor, one of the lead actresses or actor, however you want to call it, in the show Eureka, which was on the Sci-Fi Channel for a very long time, which I actually liked a lot. I'm a big fan of hers, and I think that this is the first time a director for this series actually directed 2 in a row. And I believe, and I think that is something that really helped this episode, with cohesion, with a lot of the things that her vision for the next one. Now, don't get me wrong. I love when new directors come in and show their point of view and their artistic talent to some of the shows. But in this instance, I think it was a really smart choice to have her come in again and finish her vision for these 2 episodes. So, I think
Jansen, can I ask you?
I say first. So how brave is it to incorporate several different directors, several different visions within one season? I love that they do it. I don't understand how they go ahead and pick and say you're perfect for episode 4 and 5.
Well, they do that, I believe. They do that, because it doesn't get a show stuck on one person's vision. It keeps it, it keeps it open, it keeps it malleable, and it keeps it, because when you have a series, especially one that goes on for years, people come in, different members, different directors, and it's something that homogenizes a show, and which it doesn't make it like, so if M. Night Shyamalan wanted to make a series, they would pretty much be all M. Night Shyamalan's work. He has a very distinct way that he directs, as far as what he likes the camera to do. And, when he is actually picked to be a director, a lot of times he brings in his own sound guys, his own grips, his own guys that he works with a lot. So in the industry, they're always moving. And there's always people in the crew. There's like 500 people that are always moving around to different shows. And it's hard to get the same exact people all the time. And in fact, when you do that, those people exact a pretty heavy price. So it's nice to have different directors come in, knowing the show, knowing where their vision is going, helps, because we're not going to get Robert Jordan's full vision. He's not the one directing. So if it was one director the whole time, it would end up being their show. This way,
Interesting.
That doesn't even happen that often.
That makes sense, yeah.
That happens very rarely. There's a couple of shows a year you find that the entire season was directed by one person. We're lucky we only had 4 directors for season 1. A lot of shows in 8 episodes would have had 8 directors.
Yeah, very much so.
And the important director is always the one who does the pilot, because they're the one who sets the tone and style of how the directing and the cinematography goes. That's why, I'm trying to think of his name, the pilot whisperer. He directed a pilot of Arrow. He has like 16, 17 pilots under his belt. He directed for Game of Thrones. Yeah. I can't think of his name right now.
Lance.
I'm blanking. I'll think of it later.
Bernard.
Jason.
He set the tone for
Federico
shows that came along later. Wrong one still.
No, not that. Yeah.
So how about
Steven.
this? To that point, next season, we have a new executive producer named Sanaa Hamri, and she is actually directing half of the season.
Wow.
Now, is that common?
It all depends. I mean, it's so random. So many different things happen, and that's one of the beauties. One of the things I love about Hollywood and this business is that every day it's different. I've never had the same day. In the 40 years I've been, doing this and trying to. I've never had the same day twice. So it's always different, and they're always trying new things. Now it could be that this director, that she makes to, and that might change. That happens a lot as well. She may not direct for half the season.
Okay.
But I hope that she's a fan. I really hope she's a fan.
It's very important.
Because if that is true and she is directing half the season and she's a fan, then she's going to know what the fans want to see and want to hear, and that sounds great to me.
Right. From what I understand, her directing experience is not vast. She hasn't done anything involving CGI. She did do an Empire episode, yeah. And she did another episode of something, and I think those are the two notable episodes that she directed.
Yeah, she
that
does.
I am
yeah.
aware of. So I'm interested to see kind of
Real Housewives, I think,
where it goes. Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah.
I mean, if that's the other thing, you have to, and people think that, most people who haven't worked on set think that there's one person who's directing every single person with everything, and that's just not true. She's got AD, she's got PA, she's got so many people doing different things that are going to help her. And it's like, I look at it as, somebody who has a whole lot of tools in her bag to use. And she's going to have a lot of great people working for her and under her. So I think it's going to be great. I'm always going to be optimistic about this show.
I like to think of a director as a conductor of sorts.
Yes.
Sure. They're talking with adults who know their roles probably better than the conductor, right?
Yeah,
but the conductor's role is to make sure that everything goes fluidly and everyone plays their role. So when you are criticizing someone, it is because they are not necessarily flowing in the entire orchestra rather than just on a personal level.
Yeah,
because you gotta have the whing thing go.
You do.
Yeah.
And so with further ado, let's get into it, guys.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to say is, with our first open, the very first thing, we get a brand new character to those of us who are not book readers. A very huge character, actually, named Swan Sanche, and we get a flashback of her actually first, which I actually thought was awesome, because it gave us so much information.
Yes.
It gave us a possible look at one of the great structures of the time and of the land, and we got to also a very good sense of where Swan was from, which was Tyr. And as most of us book readers know, Tyr is not a place where I are liked or trusted or even allowed in unless watched very, very carefully. And we get a young son. Did you guys
get in this scene, Jen and Glenn, did you get the impression that the house was burnt down and the dragon fang was carved on their door as a direct result from her channeling that knot?
I don't think so much that knot. I don't because I don't see how it could have, because it would have been real quick. It seems really fast. I don't see anybody but probably for past suspicions of being able to channel.
Absolutely.
Not so much for this one, because this one, I think she's right. Nobody could see.
Yeah. I think they knew, and I think that they had been suspicious of it. And you know how Tyr is.
Yeah.
And it just shows that she's careless, perhaps.
That, and I also believe that it starts with her and her dad kind of isolated to begin with. So I think that the reason why they may have had that as like house by the water by themselves, you kind of got the fact that they were alone, like they had kind of been pushed out there for reasons like Glenn was saying, like maybe there had been some previous like accidents where maybe some channeling or something had happened. So I kind of got that, and I'm trying to look at it. It's hard to deviate from not reader's perspective, and if I'm just seeing this, why is there a fang and why is it burnt down? So I'm trying to take that perspective. Was it articulated clearly to that audience? And yes, I do believe that there was something like different about the two of them, whether it be her or him, even if I didn't know about channeling. But obviously, with her and that, he was like, okay, I think that was kind of the last straw-ish kind of situation. That's kind of what I got at their house burning down. He's like, it's not safe for you. You have to go. So, yeah.
I actually think that's a reed, not straw.
Yeah.
By the reeds.
By the reed, that's true.
Let me ask you too another question. How young was Swan when she got her tattoos?
Well,
in your guess, I mean, was she like just born and they start inking this woman up? I mean,
I have no idea, to be honest.
Yeah, that's kind of it's different. Like seeing as a different culture shock for us. I wouldn't hazard a guess to say. I would probably say probably not right when she was born, right? Because you're a baby. And
probably not when you're born.
I mean,
we'll see later on if the sea folk have them too, or their kids have them. So
right, Jansen. One more question. I hate to interrupt, but one more question. The Aes Sedai themselves. What? There it went. There went my question. It disappeared from my head. I'll come back to it. I'm sorry.
No problem. But here's one little nugget of niceness that we got from Swan's dad, and this also goes towards the fact that Brother Dan.
All right. Yes. Do Aes Sedai have a fear of do like 1 in 4 die, or 3 out of 4 die, or is that sickness? Is that a thing? Do you think in the show?
We have not
channeling sickness
seen any. I don't believe.
Yeah, it's hard to hazard.
That's kind of hard. They that's not something that they. I think that they have written that out, because when you talk about, when you go back a few episodes to, Nynaeve talking to Moraine about the wisdom of Emond's Field prior to Nynaeve, she knew she could channel as well. And she went to the White Tower well after that sickness would have killed her in the book. Right. So I think they've written that out.
It's just gone.
I don't know, because we see that's part of the whole reason why Rand and Nynaeve think maybe Matt's been channeling her, thinking that's what people are going to assume is because he's got this sickness. Maybe I don't know. They don't flat out say that that's why he's afraid, but it seems like he's connecting. They're trying to connect the sickness to possibly being a channeler.
Well,
maybe it only happens with it's only with guys. Maybe
because Tom Maryland said Owen acted just like Matt did.
Yeah.
Remember? So it's definitely possible that that's something that's part of the taint, and that actually makes a lot of sense. That could be part of the taint. I like the way that we're going with that. Actually, I think that makes sense.
You have Logain, who's older and full on with the taint obviously around him. So, and he's definitely got something going on. I wonder what. We'll have to find out.
One thing I do think the Aes Sedai are afraid of is changing clothes. They're in the White Tower, where they live. Why are they all wearing the same dress they wore yesterday?
I agree.
They got the money to have better dresses. Even Nynaeve would know this.
1,000 golden crowns a year pays more than that. So
yeah.
So
by the way, Logain is the coolest character we've seen. I would follow Logain. Logain is
the king of Gildan speaks.
he is so chill, man. Yeah. He was like, if I sat down next to Logain, if I played cribbage with it, like anything I would do with this guy would be fun, I think.
Well, that goes along with a lot of things that happened in the book. And if you remember, especially in New Spring and other ones, when guys started to channel, they started to be able getting this charisma, this aura that people would follow them. People wanted to be behind these guys. I remember the story of the blacksmith who got killed, and New Spring, who was people were starting to listen to him. He was starting to be a leader of things until he was killed. So I think that comes with the power when you start getting this aura of charismatic, you could call it machismo, whatever. It's a scent. It's something that this guy's got. I think that comes with that comes with Saidi. What I was saying referring back to the beginning of the episode, one little nugget that really was dear to me that we got. Now, through the books, Swan Sanche always has these quotes from the sea, from fishermen, and we get one from her dad immediately, and which was nice, and it was, a wise woman knows the breaking point of her line, don't break yours. And we get a sense of where Swan got her, her following, what she
fish metaphors,
by her metaphors, all those things, and we see that, and I thought that was a great thing that helped with her personality, and it's going to through the books.
Good point.
Yeah.
She's like Lenny,
and
but
also
just fish metaphors instead of like just
Yes.
It's like fish metaphors.
And the great one is Swan Sanche. What is it? Smart as a pike. No, smart as a pike, strong as the tides.
Yes. The girl of the river.
Which Moraine ties a fat bow on top of when she says it during her exile. Oh man.
Now,
such an acting class. God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now, though, at the end of this scene, we see some questionable parenting, as far as I'm concerned, but he casts Swan off into the river by herself. Doesn't go with her, and says he would. Now, I don't know if I'd let my little girl do that. But he did.
Yeah. One lonely tear. Do we think we'll see? Will we see him again?
No, we will not.
Okay,
he's gone. I don't think he was alive by the time she reached.
Yes, he actually dies.
I don't think he survived long at all.
Yes, they even from Moraine's POV in New Spring, she specifically states that they were both orphaned and both their mom and dad had passed away.
Yeah.
So we can suspect that the people of Tyr, knowing how the people of Tyr are, probably sold him out to the High Lords or the Defenders of the Stone, and he was probably tortured.
Yeah.
The White Tower's got to be probably not super hard to find, though, because it is, quote, in the shadow of Dragon Mount. That's the biggest. That's if you're looking for a landmark, if you're in New York City and you look up and you're like, all right, there's the Empire State Building. I know I need to go east about 14 blocks. Or, you look up, there's certain, Dragon Mount is the landmark in the central part of
For sure.
And it's huge.
Yeah, it reaches the clouds, right?
And then some.
And now when we go into our next scene, and we get the Hall of the Tower, which is every time you get to the Hall of the Tower in the books, it's pretty spectacular. It's pretty. It always means something. It's something huge. We get to see all 7 Ajas for the first time.
Cool.
All sitting there, which is very cool. And we also get Lyanna Sharif, who is a new character and is definitely, now we're not sure if she's going to be as focused on in the show as she was in the books. I thought she was a lovely character, and I thought that in the books she really, really gave ache from some of the and point of views were really awesome. And she even had her own character arc that she had to go through, which I liked. And that was awesome. And we get to see Lyanna for the first time. And she has the staff of the keeper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
I really enjoy
echoes-
seeing that.
It's like a
Shut up,
judge's
Dragon.
gavel.
Yeah.
And so we see her, and then we see the scene where Logain confronts the Amerlin. And
Jansen, here's my prediction. Here's my prediction that if Swan is stilled and it goes through that, Leanne will not survive that. That character will just die, and we'll see her sprawled out on the floor. It'll be Swan by herself or with someone else, but not this Leanne.
I been thinking
I
about
wouldn't be
that
surprised.
all the time, and I think that's a coin flip because of, and I think there's so many reasons why you're right about that. Because once Swan does actually leave the tower later, I'm not sure there's a need for Leanna to be there. I do believe Min has to be there.
Yeah.
And I also think Logain has to be there, but
Yeah.
it may change all that. And later on in this episode, I'm going to tell you guys some reasons why they may change all that I have figured out. Because we're seeing some small changes right now. But they're small changes not to book readers. To book readers in this episode, we saw some serious changes that
Correct.
people would not know, unless they read the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta put, there's a lot of reasons why some of these changes were made, and I'm sure we'll talk about that later, dealing with Barney leaving, with COVID restrictions. So that comes more in the next couple episodes. But one of the reasons why there's a lot of changes from the books with this episode is purely ripple effect out from changes they made an episode or 2 or 3 ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the big ones is dropping Camelin. Dropping the
Yeah.
Camelin crew.
Yes.
Huge.
Yeah.
Made everything, and they could have kept it and still done what they did. But I'll talk about that at another time.
Yeah.
But it just
I don't know if they could have with 8 episodes. Yeah.
With 8
I think
episodes.
they could have.
Yeah.
My idea is instead of having Moiraine and Lan and Nynaeve meet up with the party that has Logain captured, have that party that has Logain go to Camelin and then leave from Camelin with the Trakans and Galad and Elida. And then we would have introduced them, and we would have on their journey to the White Tower, which we could have interspersed with other stuff here. They would have introduced us more to the Camelin people, and we would have gotten all the stuff with Karene and Steppen and the gentling of Logain. It could all still have worked. It just they used a different set of characters to tell that story than what I think they should have. And they would have kept all of that. And all these other changes that they had to make, like how do we get the girls out of the White Tower at this point? They had to make up this whole thing of these dreams that we have to go to the one tower or to the Eye of the World, which is now suddenly,
Right.
well, the reason why they got to go there, we now have to make that. That's where the Dark One's in prison. All these changes are coming about. They're having to get them away from what the corner they've written themselves into. And that's what the show
remember, they
has a
also
problem.
had to find the Aes Sedai to get healed.
If they hadn't
there's
wounded her, if they
Yeah.
hadn't wounded her, and I understand wounding her gives some dramatic tension to the story,
Right.
but they made a lot of decisions early on that painted themselves into a corner that they had to scramble to get out of, and then Barney quits, and then we've got COVID.
Yep.
That's why this is
I
the
will
last
say-
good episode.
Speaking of which,
I will say that this episode itself, canonically, there's almost nothing that corresponds directly to the book in this episode. And with the
Well-
last episode too, with Steppen, that whole thing canonically within the book doesn't occur. A lot of this stuff does occur off screen. We
And
assume that the
subtle
Amerlin
things do happen.
does address Logain. We just don't see it. We know that when Moiraine gets back, I don't know if she got scolded. I don't think. I mean, but all this was different. Even Moiraine opening the way gate instead of Loyal being the person who this was an Ogier construct.
Yes.
I would have loved for Loyal to be the one who opened it. So there was I mean, I'm not complaining about them. I understand that certain changes are made for it, but when we look at just like the canon of the book compared to what we saw on the screen for this episode, there's almost nothing that corresponds directly on the book. There's a lot that we can defer from off page that we see. And it does build, and this isn't a bad episode. This is a good episode. I like this episode.
I would call it a good episode of television.
Yeah.
As an adaptation of the Wheel of Time is where, and on my show, that's where I'm coming at it. I'm always thinking of it as an adaptation. That's what I'm stuck thinking of, these shows.
Yeah.
But it's a great television episode.
Yes.
But I would think that even more if I had never read the books. I think I would love it a lot more if I had never read the book.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to be honest,
because
to be completely honest, when you're making a show for TV or film, you must make it that way.
Yeah.
You can't make it for the readers because you're really losing a lot if you're doing that. You have to make it for people who've never read the book or heard of it. You have to. It's the only way.
The same thing with the MCU movies.
Right,
they
exactly.
Don't make them for comic book readers. And most people who go see MCU movies don't read comics and would not be caught dead reading a comic.
Exactly. But that being said, there were some things, and it's like it was more of the meaning and more of the feeling of what happened other than actual things happening. Because we do get when Swan and Moraine first meet each other in book 2, when Moraine's locked up in the room with Swan, she does come out looking like she has been chastised or yelled at by the source. We do get those. We get certain things like that. They the meaning of it, the feeling of it. And we get the angst, Leandrin and Moraine in the book. Get those things. We get we get those.
Yeah.
What we
I would say we get the essence also of how the Aes Sedai work each other over, like how they communicate. The subtleties of certain like Leandrin like running her finger over Moraine's face. That is unexplained, and that's typical to like a Robert Jordan book where it's like you don't know suggestive. And you want to know and I still want to know what the heck that's all about.
Ryan, also to your point, when they're talking to Megan in the steam bath and she's like, a green agreed with a red, and so did you, Moraine. And she's like, I know things are changing.
That says a lot. It's like
and that's not. And in that scene, there's a lot. I'm going to come back to that, but there's a lot of information we get in that scene with Megan and Moraine.
Oh my goodness!
Megan, that's what it's Megan.
Yeah, her name is Megan, and she's one of the sitters. We also see, during this hall, the whole hall thing, which book readers know and watchers don't, is that the whole thing between Moraine and the Emerald is a big facade.
Yeah.
It's they're playing this facade because, what we know as readers, we know why, but they're building it up for the audience who's watching the show and haven't read it. I think they're doing it, and I understand what you were saying, Jen, earlier about it's very hard to look at this from not the book reader side because we have read the books. Yeah. But looking at it from looking at it the other way, I actually like the build. There's a lot of speculation, and I thought about, okay, so if I hadn't read, there's so many questions I would have, and that is exactly what you want in a production because it's going to keep bringing you back. So we want these things to happen. We want everyone who's never read the book to be speculating. I love hearing questions from people. So is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? That tells me that at least this show has got people thinking and they want to know what happens next. And that's all you can do. probably the number one thing you can do for making a production is having people wanting more. So
Engagement, yeah.
Exactly. So I like that.
Would you say leaving the audience with questions is a better way to pull them back than a cliffhanger at the end of the episode?
I think you need both.
You need both, yeah.
I think you need both. You have to have both. I mean, that's the essence of filmmaking. You need both. You need the conflict, and you need people to keep thinking and wondering. If I knew everything was going to happen, what is it that Amy told Egwene? Woman who knows everything that's going to happen is either an animal or going to go crazy, right? So you got to know what's going to happen. So,
and this rewatch project is so good for me because I watched this through a comparative eye when I first saw it, and I was like, loyal? What? No. What? No, Camelin? Nope. Oh, nope. I was just like checking things off a box instead of just watching what was there because I had too much baggage. I mean, I had a whole 20-something years of wanting this on film baggage behind me. And so once I kind of unleashed that and just am watching it anew, I'm really liking what I'm watching a lot more than I did the first time I watched it.
And some of the stuff you knew was gonna go by, like Rand and Matt doing the flute playing at the ends and stuff on the road to Camelin. You knew that was probably going to be cut. There was a lot of sleeping in haystacks and stuff.
Absolutely,
but no, it's very
hold on. Instead, we got Matt meeting a little girl while he's puking up darkness from a sword. Okay, I would have preferred him juggling or playing a flute.
That was very disturbing. Yes. Absolutely.
I know. I mean, I wish that playing for your supper. That was the name of that chapter. And I thought that was great. For book readers. But that's a lot of fluff that you might not want to put for a show, especially when you only got 8 episodes.
Yeah.
So which segues us into the next scene, which we find Moraine drinking tea, and. Now, I want to ask you guys a question, and I want to know what you guys think about this, even the audience out there, or because I don't know whether or not Moraine felt Nynaeve as a channeler, or whether Lan had followed them and found the Emmonsfielders, because we know that the previous episode, Loyal found Nynaeve in the White Tower and brought her to Matt. Now, we see as soon as Nynaeve walks by, Moraine looks up and is like this. Now, I felt that was her. She was close enough to feel Nynaeve. But 1 second later, Lan walked through the door and he had found them as well. So I don't know what they were trying to show there. I'm not exactly certain. But it did seem to me that Moraine felt Nynaeve's power.
Interesting.
So here's the thing. No one comments on noticing Nynaeve's power. They just know that she's powerful because she healed everyone with a super mega blast of Super Saiyan. She went Kamehameha.
Yeah.
And so, and in fact, the Amaryllis herself says they say that you're the most powerful channeler in 1,000 years. She doesn't say that she can sense it.
That's true.
That she can feel it.
That is true.
She says that. So I'm not sure. Again, I'm not sure if this is going to be written in or not, where they can
feel,
sense.
Yeah, and that's where I was getting at. Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make it easier.
Moraine flat out says there in the hall, "I wasn't aware she could channel."
Sure.
If they kept from the book the woman's ability to sense another woman who could channel, whether she's channeled yet or not, whether she's a sparker or a trainer, they've dropped that entirely because Moraine should have known. In the book, Moraine just was in her presence and knew right away that Nynaeve could channel. Because Moraine flat out says she wasn't aware, that tells me that they've gotten rid of entirely the ability to sense the ability in somebody else. Now, if she had sensed somebody actually channeling, that's going to be different. My interpretation of the
I think you may be right, Glenn.
I agree with Glenn, and further piggybacking off that, I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to say I think they got rid of like the effect of sensing anyone, man or woman, to channel, because remember in the TV show they don't know if the dragon reborn is a boy or a girl. So it makes it easier as far as storytelling is in the television sense. If you're the Dark One and you're looking for whoever may be the dragon reborn, if you obliterate the sensing of channeling, then it could really open it up to be anyone. So it makes sense of like why Moraine was searching so long, why she or nobody else knew which of the 5 of them it could be. If you take away anybody sensing really anyone to channel, now it's up in the air. There's a big question mark. Maybe somebody will send somebody like later, but like obviously unless they do something super crazy like Nynaeve did, like the Kamehameha situation. But I'm just talking about just as you're standing there, if you don't see the effects of the magic, or there's not like actually weaves being woven, if someone's just standing there and you can't tell, it would make, from a narrative standpoint, trying to find out who the Dragon Reborn was for all these years, as far as the television writing goes, and that part of it only, it would make more sense to me.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking, Glenn, of things that they've taken away and changed, so in the next scene, we get a new character that a lot of people don't even know about. So a man named Darren Clark, who is an actor, a very seasoned actor, been doing it a long time. He is the man who shows Nynaeve where Mat and Rand are in his inn called the Light's Blessing. Now, if you look up IMDb, which is something me as an actor I'm always looking at, in the cast under this episode, Darren Clark is cast as Basil Gill. So I'm just saying that is an extremely large piece of information that tells me some of the places that they are not going in the next episode or even further episodes to come. So we know that Basil Gill is not in. We know that he is in Tarv Island. So that can we can speculate that Mat and Tom are going to probably meet next season in his inn in Tarv Island. You know what I mean? I'm thinking far ahead, and I'm thinking.
You mean season 3, right?
No, I think it's going to be season 2.
Because we know he's not in season 2.
Yeah.
Just recently it came out from an interview or a tweet or something. This past week and a half or so.
Yeah.
Is when I heard the news.
Okay.
Damn you, facts! Damn you!
Yeah, let's know that. Okay.
But
so that's I have to see where they
I was
go.
arguing with people about, Wheel of Time should have cast somebody who's got better availability. I like Alexander Willow, but I don't know if the plan was to bring Tom in so late in season 1 or if they did that because of his availability. But he wasn't available until they filmed Block 2 for season 1.
Oh, so Tom is not in season 2? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Exactly.
I saw that as well. Different from Glenn. We actually didn't previously cover this yet.
I wish they'd just done like a Hobbit movie where they just did 3 movies at once and everyone is the same all the way through. And they just release. They just lock them up for 5 years.
Well, I mean, I have some things that I've been thinking about with Tom, like, because of the way they're doing production and how you have to, the whole thing with him and Elaine later on, she's going to know who he is as soon as she sees him.
Probably.
And in fact, I think the whole scene is going to be like this. She sees Tom, she's going to walk up to him and slap him in the face. That's what I think.
Well, I'd prefer that over what happens in the books, honestly. Okay.
I mean,
he has no mustaches to pull on.
I was just going to say.
I used to do that.
Come here, Ryan. Let me pull on that mustache. This way.
I used
Which way?
yank.
Oh, I got you right here.
Not
Ryan,
cool.
don't make that sound.
Not cool.
So, and after we meet Basil Gill, Mat is obviously cleansed from the Shadar Logoth dagger. And this does something, I believe, really big, even though it's very subtle in this show. She earns Rand's trust, which is a very big deal. She earns his trust, and they even make it's a really lovely scene. We actually see Yosha Straczynski and Stradowski, Moraine. They're actually clicking acting wise together. They're working well. They're melding together. I like it. It was lovely how they went back and forth, and I think their chemistry is starting to get really good. And I think that that's a must for this entire show.
Oh yeah.
That those two have to have really good chemistry, and I think that you saw.
Oh yeah.
And this is one thing we talked about pre the show today. I think that is one of the reasons why having a director do it twice in a row, like Sally Richardson Renfield, who's very warm, and she, I believe she had a lot to do with their connection. I really liked how they did that, and that actually saves us, or saves the people who are not book readers, a lot of time that it takes Rand to actually trust anything that Moraine says. And not that he is giving everything yet, but she's gained a little bit of his trust now, and he's listening to her more because she saved Mat and took on the darkness to save him.
Looking at this, trying to look not through book eyes, the concept of having all 5 of them potentially be a dragon is not a bad thing.
No, especially absolutely. I think it's perfect for non-viewers. It's absolutely what you want.
I think they do it well with Mat being a kind of stronger than he should.
Yeah, they did that. But they also did something else. Production-wise, to save time, you notice what we did not hear. And sometimes it's the things that you don't hear for book readers that tells us a lot. We did not hear that Mat needed to be healed again. In the book, it was just a Band-Aid.
Right.
That's
right.
So now, because he's in Tarvalon, he's been healed from the dagger by Moraine, and he doesn't have to go confront all the eye and begins again for it. Now, it is possible that he may come across the dagger again in the next episode and must be healed by everybody. We don't know that, but as of right now, we know that he doesn't need to do it again.
That was one of my biggest takeaways of the episode. I was like, oh my god, they saved so much time in the books of him still having the taint of the dagger. I'm like,
so much
he's
time.
Healed already? I was like, oh my god.
That would be good if he was.
I'm like, oh
And
my god.
It was appropriately creepy too. That gross stuff on her face.
It was
trying to get in.
So good.
And it went to Moraine a little bit too, which was how they crazy
all
how
over her
they did
face.
that.
And Rand saw that and gained trust from her for doing it. But one thing that's kind of sad that we got, this was pretty much the last dialogue we're going to get, except for a couple one-liners from Barney Harris. He's pretty much gone after this, other than, being seen in the background. And, we can all speculate of what happened. Some people claim they know, some people claim they don't. I understand that a lot of times in productions, things happen and things change. And I am really sorry to see him go because he is a great actor. Yeah. And from what I've heard on the flip side of it, the man that they have coming in, I believe is also very good. And I believe that the Mat that we're supposed to get after all of his trials and tribulations up to Tarvalon, we're about to get. I believe we're going to get a more happy-go-lucky Mat, a more fun-loving Mat, a man of the people, a guy who can hang out with the serving waitresses and the servers and all those things. And I believe we're going to get that guy.
So check this out, Jansen. They had a Brazilian Comic-Con, and everyone goes and gets waxed. It's great, but no, it was in, I think, Sao Paulo, and they had a real-time panel, and Donald Flynn said that he did not watch Barney Harris's work. He did not watch season 1. He read the books.
That's
to
great.
get his inspiration.
I
for
think
the
that's
character.
fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
That's actually
fantastic. I
Yeah.
think that's fantastic. As someone who has to read, scripts and stuff, watching someone else's version is a crutch. And I think that him reading the books and getting the author's version for himself is fantastic. I think that's great. That makes me very happy, actually. I love that.
Same source material. So yeah, they're both working from the same thing. So
Yes.
it's kind of cool. Apples to apples.
Apples to apples. And so after that, we get the bathhouse scene with Moraine and Megan. And we get a lot more information than people would believe in this very small scene. And we get some things that are very dear to the Wheel of Time, like the blue Aja's eyes and ears. Megan seems to know a lot of things that are already happening in the world. And even Moraine comments on the fact that her spies and eyes and ears are doing very well, or have gotten better than she thought. Because Megan talks about ships have been disappearing in the West. So we get a hint at everything that's going to be going down in Falma and, Tanchico, those areas, because of the Shanshan coming in. We get Aiel have been spotted on this side, the spine of the world. And then something that was very interesting to me is that we get from her Trollocs have invaded the two rivers. Now, to me, in the books, the two rivers were very obscure to most of the people of the world. Here in the show, though, they seem to be more known about more, or heard about more. And she even mentions the Terran ferry was sank by an Aes Sedai.
But nothing about Hightower dying.
Nothing about Hightower dying. So maybe she didn't die. Maybe he didn't die.
Oh, come on.
Well, how else did they find out about it?
Or maybe the Aes Sedai are
Darkford?
just more concerned about. Maybe the Aes Sedai are just more concerned about the ferry, which gets traffic in and out, trade in
True
and
that.
out
Yeah,
there
that's true.
than they are about the guy who ran the ferry, because he's got sons who could run it. So
And then the other thing,
the trade route has stayed open.
this is still open. And another thing that we get, another little nugget we get, and this was definitely something in the Eye of the World that we really got a lot of. Megan asked the question, how did the Trollocs get to the two rivers?
Yeah.
Now, this is huge, and we definitely find out later how, but this is a very big thing that goes on through the books up until the time when people don't need, the ways and things like that. But it brings to question how they could bring a force like that to the two rivers. And that's, as far as a book reader goes, we know. But even in the books when we were reading, we're still speculating how that could happen. And as someone who has not read the books, it's just another little nugget of questioning you have out there of what's going to happen. So that's good.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of this entire scene, which I think is the obscure part of this, was at the very end when the little yellow herbs dropped out of Moraine's garments. Now, we've gotten these things in the book a lot, at least 3 separate times. Most notably in, I believe it's the Fires of Heaven, where Nynaeve sees a yellow Aja sign.
Yes.
Now,
Okay. Yes.
Megan, when the yellow flowers or things fell out of her garment, they were brand new pressed garments. They were left there for Moraine to see. And when they drop, Megan says to her, "What? More secrets?" That was the yellow Aja telling Moraine that they found Egwene and Piran. Now, it's very subtle that they did that, but I thought it was great as far as an Easter egg for people who read.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
Was that obvious to non-book readers? Do you think?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I mean, you have to, It
Very few of them. Very, very few of them.
Yeah.
very,
There's-
very
yeah.
few understand that was. But
It's
like
like it must be tricky. Like I feel like the modern audience is getting better at this, and you can almost like I don't even know go back to like Lost as a show that started upending expectations and not explaining anything and just and so like there's this balancing act because I always feel like the modern television audience needs things kind of spelled out for them, whereas readers naturally like to suss things out. It must be some tricky balancing act to be able to like do those things, to drop these hints and not explain it without frustrating the audience enough for them to just bail and say, well, I don't get what's going on.
Yes.
I think they handled this very well, and I think the trick is just, I mean, acting, probably, because these are just people doing cool shit. So it's probably the acting that's carrying it forward. But yeah, I was just thinking about this as we were talking.
Yeah, and it is possible, Ryan, that this episode would be shit if the acting wasn't so damn good.
It's very good.
Like I was so impressed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to like incredible too.
I really liked seeing. I probably my favorite performance was Logain. Like seeing him there, everyone was very good. Everyone was aces. But I had a personal because Logain, especially in the beginning, he's like so full of mystery and he was so powerful and he's like this and that. There's so many different powerful women Aes Sedai. Here's this one guy that did so much. So he's like this. An enigma, and so I was
and he seemed to have like, and he was almost benevolent and seemed to have like righteous intentions and shit. Like it was, and then all of a sudden he tears slowly coming out of his face as he's getting stilled.
Yeah.
Jen, for me, it was Rosamund Pike. I had heard her reputation; everyone was stoked, but her seeing the different emotional palette that she displayed in front of Swan both times she was in front of the seat itself.
I agree.
First when she was withholding the information and when not talking, and then when she was being exiled. Holy cow, guys, this is so not a joke.
It's all about Sofia Canedo for me.
Yeah,
just like last year when my channel first reviewed this episode, she was my pick for best performance, the star of the episode, because she was just, and I've been waiting to see her. I'd only ever seen her before on Doctor Who as Queen Elizabeth, Q10 or Queen 10 or something like that, whatever it was. That was the only other time I'd seen her, but I knew of her work through, from other stuff, and just watching her work in this episode.
Yeah, she's great in the theater. Great.
I hear that.
Yeah,
I mean, my favorite scene in this episode is one of her episodes. So,
okay.
I didn't know she was the Wachachi princess from Ace Ventura until like way after the episode. I was like, oh my god!
Oh wow!
I was like, she is
that scene.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just to put a ribbon on this, when they say that Swan Sanche could command a room if she was just a fisherman's daughter, you can see that in this actress.
Oh, there's a couple more instances about that too. That's awesome that they pulled directly from the book. I'm not going to talk about it yet, though, but I will.
Yeah, what she does with her eyes, just in acting itself, like the command, the presence, the charisma. I mean, she was cast really, really well. I love her as the Emerald Sea.
Mm-hmm.
And the name was Liz 10 on Doctor Who. Now that I remember, Liz 10.
Yeah. So, next, because of what's happened, we have Moraine, because she got the message from the Yellows. We got her finding Egwene. Now, last episode, I questioned how our Emmonsfielders are paying for all of these things, and how do they have all this money, and how can they stay at all these nice things? Well, one of my answers were given because the Yellows found both of them, and they knew what had happened to them, and they set them up in one of their yellow buildings in Tar Valon. And so they were living pretty high on the hog, actually. They looked like, they were clean, their clothes were nice and good, Perrin's relaxing on a big silk bed, sleeping, and we find out a few more things, like Moraine knows about this condition that Perrin is starting to get with the wolves. We hear about that, and there's almost a direct quote from the books saying, "Tell no one." There are people. It was a different context, but there are people in this city who would kill you, Aes Sedai included, or hurt him if they knew what you just said. So we're getting that, and we're getting a couple of things. We also hear, again, the yellows are the best healers in the world, and so that's more information for non-book readers. That solidifies that yellow Aja are the ones that are the caretakers of people's health, whether that be mental or physical. Those are the ones that are taking care of that.
Yeah, because that kind of looked like a hospital in the middle of the city.
It did. It did.
It really, it's like something the hospitalers would have set up, to bring the sick and the injured here to fix them. If you're still wondering how Matt and Rand paid for their room, they probably kept coin after they sold those stolen horses.
Yeah, you're right.
Because horses worth a lot, and so that probably explains like the change in clothing, if there was any, how they ate, but also how they're staying in this hotel. Because they
also keep in mind the dagger is not the only piece of thing that Matt has. He has the Aiel's stone as well.
Yeah, forgot about that.
By the way, Tarvalon is so gorgeous. Every doorway, every wall, every bed, everything is just awesome.
I love it. Brother Dan has a joke though. He's like, "This Tarvalon is so secretive, but every wall has holes all throughout it."
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like a Swiss cheese building,
except for the novice quarters. I guess you got to dig a hole.
Now, speaking of novices, we have been seeing novices. We know what they look like now. They have the white and they have the
novices.
Yeah.
Those ribbons around there. I like that they have that distinction. Something else that's different, however, from the books is that the novices are able to walk in and out of the city pretty often. In the book, we didn't see that. We saw they needed permission to even go outside of the tower grounds.
Yep.
So we see them, functioning. And what I'm grasping, from this, from where Perrin and Egwene were staying and all those things, I believe that the Aes Sedai are more in the city and out and about than they were in the book. You see distinctively, you see different. You see the greens, the yellows walking through town in many scenes, and that wasn't necessarily how it happened in the book.
Jensen, to your point, there's a scene where Moiraine walks out of her room onto a balcony, and it's overlooking a nice little Spanish alley with people walking and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and Tarvalon looks lovely. It looks like it's a center of commerce. Different people from all over the world. We even got a camel.
Yeah. Have you guys noticed they've been very careful not to do a direct above down shot at the island of Tarvalon? They haven't done that on the show yet.
That's true. It's all been.
I wonder why.
But we hear Leandra hangs out in North Harbor.
See, no, I don't believe. I think Moiraine was making that up because I'm sorry, no men in that society know how to find North Harbor. Okay, that's something men only learned in the 20th century. Not even most of them.
Hey, it's a different turning. Rafe even said, in this turning, everyone knows where North Harbor is.
For an order of women who inhabit Vagina Island, they got a lot of phallic symbols around. You got the White Tower. I mean, this big thing. It's almost cream pie right there. And then you got the keeper's staff. That was pretty phallic. And then you got the oath rod.
Well, it's about the balance of men and women. That's what Wheel of Time is about.
So what are you guys saying? The Black Tower is going to be some big valley?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's all about men and women working together.
Don't forget Patreon if you're loving these types of stimulating conversations.
Stimulating. I see what you did there.
You like what I did there?
I didn't get you going there, Ryan.
Speaking of awesome acting, the next scene brings us a lot of that. And they definitely, because of production, they defer from the book, and they had to. And we get something, though, that really doesn't disturb me, but I'm still thinking, So at the beginning of the scene, Moraine masks the bond. Now, that is something that we find out that sometimes Aes Sedai do in the book when they're about to be intimate with someone, or if they just want to get out of town and don't want their warder to know where they're at. And we know that Moraine ain't trying to get out of town right now. So her masking, and what she uses is what's interesting to me. She uses this box or this mirror on her wall, and essentially it looks like she's traveling.
I think they confirmed that that's what it was, that it was a different place.
So we have a Terangriel that we've found, or that they have found in the show, that can transport her to a specific place. They did not have that book up to this point.
Presumably 2 of them.
Yeah,
because Swan would have to have one too.
And you see that
in her office, in her office in the scene, you see a very similar painting on a very similar frame on her wall.
So that being said, the only other artifacts in the book that could do something even close to that were the waygates, the portal stones, and then the 2 red stone doorways are the only things that could do something like that. So I'm wondering where they got there, if they're going to elaborate more in a different episode about these 2 devices, because these are something that are not in the book at all.
Well, let me ask you, Glenn and Jen, you guys a question. So Moraine was gone for 2 years. She did not bring this, this portable fucks hut with her. When she is exiled, do you think that she could take this Terangriel with her and still meet up with a Swan? Or is the sex, is that motel door closed?
I don't think she brought it with her, seeing as it's a big piece of equipment that she would have to haul around.
If you land carry this.
Here's my
and the one thing, we have not seen any pack horses yet.
Hey, Jensen, I'd do it for my lady.
Technically, she could always return to Tar-Valon. She's only exiled from the tower.
So
is what she was told she was being exiled from, and then she swore to obey that part.
Okay.
So she could come to Tar-Valon all she wants.
I actually think the next time we see those used is when later on, when we find our heroes in Tyr, and I believe Swan might find an easy way to get there.
Ooh, okay.
What do you think, Jen?
So it's unclear whether or not they're going to have the same system. If it's what they're using is something, because remember later on in the books, there is a very particular little white rod that has to be checked out of a library of such Terangriels that the White Tower has. I don't know if those 2 moving Terangriels were just part of the library in the television series, if they have to be checked out, because if so, that being gone for 2 years on the road with Moraine, if Moraine's not really staying away from the tower, people wouldn't be so mad at her being gone that whole time if they knew that she had one of those things that could go back and forth. So I don't think she could take it with her, but if they're doing that, they may not be doing that in the show at all. I'm saying it's unclear. Who knows? But
I don't think any of the other Aes Sedai even know about those 2 devices.
Okay, I was about to say, I don't know if it's a tower like we all have to do the bartering system like it is in the books, like we all check in and out our little Terangriels, but that would be interesting.
Theron knows.
I don't know. I doubt very seriously that's happening, but it would be interesting. It would be a cool nod to something in the book.
Do we think we will see this being used again specifically?
I do.
I don't think so.
I would like
to see it once or twice again.
Well, do you think they will explain how they came into their possession?
I believe they're going to have to.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess on a meta level, go ahead, Jensen, finish.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to explain it. That's another thing about production. It's really, it makes no sense to do things you can't explain. And that usually when they start doing things like that on shows, those shows start getting rated very poorly.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to have some reason and some kind of definition about them. Even if it's a small one, they're going to say something.
Sweet.
I mean, it is a cool hidden, almost James Bond kind of thing that they have.
Yeah.
But I mean, it also on a meta level tells us that other Aes Sedai do not have an inert ability to sense Terangriel, as Alana was on her bed eating fruit right in, unless she is so nonchalant about knowing that all right, there's the sex hut.
I think that's that's a talent.
Yeah, it's a talent. Especially, I mean,
Protecting it.
I think the strongest person who had a talent with Terangriel was Avienda.
And we'll say Avienda.
But
okay,
he
interesting.
said
Not
Egwene-
That was Elaine, right?
Or Elaine.
No,
yeah, I thought-
Elaine makes them.
Elaine
Makes
copies.
But we also
Avienda
get
can
very
tell what they do.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, when Egwene goes to Tel'aran'rhiod, and Elaine and Nynaeve as well, there are a couple times, especially with Egwene, where she actually feels the Terangriel being an Angriel or something. When she first used it to go to Tanchico in the dream, she felt that some of those things were Angriel and Terangriel. And when she touched the broken female statue holding this crystal spear, it hurt her.
It hurt.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Well, but even like Nynaeve, they called the sad bracelets because every time she picked up those bracelets that were to chain a male channeler,
The domination.
it was like
Very
the
hurt.
domination band. Yeah, they were just like, she was just sad. Yeah, it was just like blah. This is a depression band.
Yes.
Yeah. All
So-
right, go on. I'm sorry.
No,
remind me of the scene in the books when we first see that giant Terangriel, the big hand and the ball.
Tyrion Rand is
The Choden Cow.
So is it was it who was it?
and on Tremalking is talked about by Viren
Mhm.
the very first time as when Rand asked her about the male version that's in Carrion.
Now, when they
Viren-
saw it, who was it that was drawn towards it? Was Rand?
Rand.
It was Rand.
Okay.
And even Celine, Lanfear was trying to pull him away.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's
who
like,
was-
no, don't. And he was
Yes,
just
she
like,
was posing as
like,
Lady Celine at the time, and she
Mhm.
said he was
Yeah,
going.
they were stopping in an inn or whatever, and it was right outside of Kyrian. I think
And
it's when he
Nine
had
Rings.
noodles, his Szechuan
I believe that's the 9 rings.
Szechuan noodles. Yeah, I think you're right.
noodles.
Now, in
And
this
some
scene,
General Tso chicken.
Yeah.
so in this scene, we've been talking about the extraordinary acting that we got out of this episode. We get a lot of that in this next scene between Moraine and Swan. Now, a couple of things that we also get is we get the bond between them, and we get something that they had to do with production that Robert Jordan wasn't the greatest about writing about intimate things, I don't think. And you know, they called them
No.
pillow friends,
Yes.
skated around a little bit of them being intimate, but as far as a production and a show that you're watching, you have to go 100%. It can't be, oh, maybe they were together or a big wink. They were lovers, and it was very appropriate to do it the way that they did it. I believe. I thought it was awesome.
I
actually.
believed their relationship.
Yes, I did too, and I thought it was great seeing how they were interacting and seeing the difference between how they were alone as to how they were in the hall.
Oh
The
yeah, it was
contrast-
amazing.
Excellent. And it showed that they were in cahoots with each other, hiding something extremely important. And we get a plethora of information from Swan, including the first mention of Jatara Moroso,
Yep.
which is
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
really great.
And then we also get the amazing on your knees comment.
Yes, we did.
Did you know that was
Yeah,
an
my little pufferfish is the best.
that was
Yes.
an improvised scene, Jansen? Did you know that?
No,
I
I
did
did
not.
not know.
Yeah. So yeah, that was an
surprised.
improvisation from Rosamund.
What?
Rosamund called that back, and Swan and she just started going down like she's like, all right,
Greatest thing about being the
great.
Marvel-
Picking that up.
no,
That's awesome.
Thanks for that, Ryan.
Really, really
am I
great.
making it up?
Wow. Yeah, no, really?
Yeah,
And,
she said that.
No, I
You
didn't.
know what else we got though?
I didn't
that
hear that.
people didn't catch this. Now, I said this before about the things that we don't see. Now, we got Swan saying that this was one of Jatara's visions. They didn't mention foretelling. They said this is one of Jatara's visions. And right after that, we got something else that, well, now, first, let's talk about that first, because what else I have to say is also another big deal that was not in the book. So they said it was a vision. Now, are we going to actually have foretellings? Or are we
I
having
hope so.
visions?
Visions seem like visions sound. I mean, foretelling. Like I mean, no one. Whatever. Like it's hard to believe in either one. Like in any real sense. But like visions just has like a hazy kind of like wishy-washy.
Exactly.
Like
It's way more
charlatan.
like foretelling, they have this talent. So with someone who has the foretelling, when they do it, it's a lot stronger in people's minds than, I swear I just saw something.
Vision, a vision could sound like something that's been caused by like a foreign substance.
Exactly.
Whereas a foretelling doesn't have that kind of connotation to it.
As
And
a
I'm wondering
peyote
if-
and going on a
Foretelling. Yeah, you don't go on a foretelling quest.
yeah.
You go on a vision quest.
They may be doing that as to what Glenn said earlier, so they're not trying to put themselves in another hole. Because they did put themselves in a hole even more in this episode, I believe, later on. We'll talk about that later. But I'll go to the other thing I was going to say. The very next thing that they start talking about in this scene is Swan's dreams. Now, Swan was not a dreamer in the book.
No.
And
She's not a dreamer here either. Though.
Yeah, you may say
she's
not a dreamer.
She's not a dreamer.
So how can she say, she's literally taking a lot out of her dream about the Dark One in this.
And
So
I think the dreams she's having are given to her by the Dark One.
I think you may be right about that. I had a conversation about that yesterday, and I think you may be right.
Yeah, I think that she's suffering the same thing that we saw Rand have, and we heard the other three had. Before they got to Shadow Logout, they all had dreams with the bat. I think it's the same thing that's going on with them as what is going on with Swan.
So do you also think it is also possible that they could be going in this direction? Do you think one of the Forsaken is already power?
No. With what they've done, I think that the Dark One is free. We're going to spoil all the way to episode 8 and for the whole series, right? So what we see in episode 8 was the Dark One, Baalzamon, tricking Rand into cracking the Quendalar seal on the Dark One's prison, which is letting the others out. And I thought that long before, I thought that last year. Now they're they're teasing that tease about it was that, might be setting more of his friends free. It's like Rand already did that for you.
Yes.
All of this Swan's dream is just, it's another lure to pull them to the eye of the world. And
So you did there. You used a lure and a swan reference. I appreciate that.
Nice one.
Nice.
Very cool.
I was hoping to slip that by. But yeah, I definitely think that it was all a trap. It was all a trap.
The whole thing, yeah. I believe I'm predicting that from the trailer for season 2 that yes, he's now going to go personally and freeing each Forsaken, and there will be like a reveal of each Forsaken that way.
Yeah, that's a good call, Ryan.
I think it's a very good call, and I think that is needed especially for the debut of playing each character. I think it's going to make them stronger villains. And to have these points of evilness in the world at the time, it's going to give the audience
here. Is there going to be 8 Forsaken or 13? What's the consensus?
I think it'd be 8.
You think
8?
8 is enough.
8's probably too much.
Well,
also,
I think they're going to blend some of them together.
Yeah.
Because we saw when Stepan was praying to them, we saw 8 figures.
Yeah.
Is it 4 male, 4 female?
We also
got that set from his mom, and his mom didn't have a full set.
True, but we also saw 8 cracks in the Quindiar
I didn't notice.
Oh.
Noted them.
So will there be 4
Nice.
male, 4 female?
That makes
Yeah.
sense. It being the Wheel of Time and everything being yin and yang, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
So I think that, yeah, I mean, that's. I really hope we get a Severhug. I like her character a lot, especially
Yeah.
like her point of
I hope
view.
so too.
I hope we get
I've
a
got an
Severhug.
awesome actress for her. Sarah
I
Martin.
believe that they would take Mogideon out.
No, Mogi Dean. No, Mogi Dean's too
McGideon's
apart.
gotta
Too.
stay.
He's too much a part of the story.
Grendel or
Either
Semirage-
that, or they're
Grendel
going
and
to blend.
Semirage will blend.
Yeah, I thought about who they would blend. Masada
Lanfear
and
and
Mogideon.
McGideon.
You
See, I think Mogideon and Masada.
Wow.
I think
Oh.
Mogideon and Masada.
Yeah, Masada
Because-
could
Okay.
F off.
Mogideon was dealing a lot
Too
with
many
all the
A's.
Black Aza in
Yeah.
the field.
I-
So I think
Yeah.
that
I'm
she
not
could be
too
dealing
worried
with
about
some
Masada.
power. And
I just don't want to see Mogi Dean, Lanfear. Well, obviously not Ishmael. I don't want to see Jason Natale. I mean, Asmodean gone. I don't. Those are
Asmodean's
Kinda
gotta
wanna-
be there.
Asmodean's got to be
no,
there.
I think Robin might not make it.
But Asmodean and Ravian I can see being mixed.
Well,
I would just have to look at the figurines
See,
again.
I was gonna say-
We all saw Grendel. I mean, obviously, a couple of I don't know, Bilal, and could be infused with somebody. Obviously, they can do easily Bathamiel and Agador together or something like that, or just
Agador,
like, just
should
like
should Demandred be Mazrim Tame?
I believe that
Like his
they're going
original
Do
plans
that.
in the notes, like he convinced us for 7-8 books was the case. Yeah, I
And
really
then
hope
he
they go
pulled a
with
switcheroo because everyone
Yeah.
guessed it.
too many people
Yeah.
figured it out. Yeah. I hope they stick
So
with-
go ahead.
I want Mazrim Tame / Demandred being the same. That's so I don't want to lose Demandred. I love Asmodean and I love Mogadeen, and those
Well, I
are the
guess
ones that I'm really
Samael
worried about.
Samael could be taken out.
Samuel could be
Yeah.
taken out. I can see Samuel being taken out.
I'd really love to see Neil McDonough play him. That's just
Yeah, that would actually
I
be a
don't
really
know
good
who that
pick.
is, but that name's awesome.
That'd be awesome.
you would recognize Neil McDonough if you saw him.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
You know who he was.
Damien Dark on the Arrow shows. Dum Dum Dugan in Captain America.
Yeah. I mean,
I
his
don't-
very
I don't
first
watch
gig
that.
was he was a co-star on Star Trek. I forgot which episode, which one it was. It was a movie. He was one of the bridge guys. And the cool thing about that, which I really, really, really like, is that that information is very pertinent to me because we both actually share that.
Oh, can't
Oh,
see
I
it.
can't. We can't see it.
Because I saw you for a second.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Nice.
There's Jansen as a red shirt.
Nice,
That's
dude.
great.
Very cool.
All right, so let me ask Jen and Glenn. Do you think that we are going to get resurrected Forsaken?
Jen?
No, I don't.
Resurrect. I'm gonna go with a no. I'm gonna go with no. I'm also
Okay.
gonna say no.
I disagree. I think we are, and I want them.
No.
I have no problem with the transmigration of Forsaken Souls.
I just changed my mind. I think Lynn's right.
Yeah.
No, we forget about
I
Morgan.
think they're too important. I think at least Halima
Well, I
is
think
way
Morgan
too
might be an
important to the
anomaly.
story.
Like
Maybe.
Moradin is
Corland
too
is Shiva.
important,
Corland is she was just a fun character, and that's totally Richard Harmon's character. If they cast him, then he would totally be perfect.
That'd be hilarious.
I've got
Because I
all the
thought-
Forsaken. All the Forsaken I have cast, by the way. If anybody ever wants
Okay,
to
who's your Agenor?
Forsaken. My Agenor, I don't remember offhand.
See, mine's
Mine.
John
Hugh Jackman.
See, I think John Malkovich would be a perfect Agenor.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
Oh,
you
interesting.
would.
Like, I
Where
think he'd
is
be
my
perfect.
list?
Oh,
There
yeah.
it
He'd be
is.
perfect.
That's a good one. That's a
That's a
creepy
good one,
Agador right there.
actually.
I think he'd be perfect, man. I think
You
he'd
know
be
what?
What?
I totally left Agenor off the list.
That's a good question.
Somehow.
Spoilers. If they blend Demodred and MrHowley, then who kills who? We need payoffs for Lan and Egwin. Both
Who
are
kills
great.
whom?
Whew.
Good question.
Yeah, Land's scene at the end of the last battle, and that was pretty iconic. You can't.
Oh my god, that's the best. One of the best. That's one of the tops.
Yes. So yeah.
And it's not just him though; it's everything that leads up to it too.
Yeah.
The whole progression of that entire is awesome. And I'm telling you right now, if they there's no way they're going to leave Demodred out of it, because as far as I'm concerned, I know you got Land. Demodred is the biggest badass in the entire series as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, Demodred could have won it all if he wanted to.
Are we going to get a talking fade?
Yes.
I hope so.
They're
do
called
too.
fetches.
They
Yes, they
already
want to
got
make
rid of
fetch
Mark,
happen.
I think.
I mean, but they
their
have those
faces
mouths.
Yeah, their faces aren't really good for like tongue.
We know they scream.
I believe it'll be something like, I believe it'll be something like you'll hear him like, "Human, you must do this." You know, it'll be something like that. But I think we'll get it.
I hope. I
want to see him where like the Fade is like standing in front of like all the Trollocs and just kind of giving him a coaching, like coaching them up for the big battle. All right, guys,
they can never take your
we're gonna get out there.
freedom!
We're gonna maul. We're gonna maim. We're gonna torture. Stay on task.
Jen, to your point, shut our what's the super fade? I want that to be voiced by Benedict Cumberbatch.
That would be awesome.
Oh, it's to be like
this really good creepy guy. Very.
I used to want Adrian Brody to play do all the Murdral, all the fetches. I thought Adrian Brody, he's a great actor and he's got the build that that long sinewy snake-like build that the fetches are supposed to have. So. And that's the only proper term to be used for that.
I honestly think Gerard Butler would be a very good Demodred.
Benicio del Toro,
Goran Vishnyk from ER. He was on The Boys. He's Dr. Kovac on ER. You would know.
Who is he on The Boys?
He was the leader of that church that the Deep was a part of.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's play a different game.
Take the beard off.
Well, I want to be conscious of the time, Jansen.
We're getting close to the end, guys. Let's.
Okay, dang it.
Ariel Burgess actually used him.
I
want
to know who Jason Momoa. What? All right, never mind. All right, move on, Jess.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah,
not Forsaken or Buff.
No, I don't think he's either. I see him as a great Narishma.
Gareth Bryn.
See, I was just gonna say he'd have been perfect for Elias.
Right.
Elias. Or the Warder battler guy.
Interestingly, 6 months or so before the casting announcement of him as Khal Drogo, I cast him on Westeros' forum as Khal Drogo. And then 6 months later, we get the news he was Khal Drogo.
What'd you get for that?
Nothing. But I got Sean Peter Dinklage too in the same posting. I posted all three of those with some other names, and three of the names were actually used for the character I posted for.
Okay, so before we do a couple things that we like to do each week, like talking about some of the things we would like to see, up a little bit. After all these scenes. Matt's healed and everything. Moraine gets exiled, and we get Loyal and all of them coming to the Waygate. And we all knows what happened. They all go through the Waygate with the exception of Matt, because of production problems, and Barney Harris leaving. And they had to change things on the fly here. So the next couple episodes were very new and some of these things, not even Rafe Judkins knew what was going to happen. So we've got some big changes coming after these scenes in this episode. But we're going to get to another part that Ryan has always talked about, which I love, another 5 minutes.
Wait, Mom, just 5 more minutes.
So if you have 5 more minutes, let's start with our guests. What would you have?
Yeah, so we're not changing anything. We're adding just any other scene that you think. Wait, Mom, 5 more minutes
For this
So
particular episode,
Yes.
Correct.
Anything more with Tarvalin in it. I can't get enough of Tarvalin. I'm just gonna say that right off the top of my head. I would have really liked to have seen just anything more in the city. Like just like you said, 5 more minutes of it. Yeah, Tarvalin. I would say anything.
And
more.
I'll piggyback off Jen. I'll give my 5 more minutes. I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more Logain. I liked the powerful thing there, but I guess I would have liked to have seen maybe Nynaeve walking through the persimmon garden and seeing Logain just kind of sitting there with 2 Aes Sedai on either side and her kind of like look, and then have Leanne say, walk up and be like, oh yeah, this is the rest of his life will be like this. This is, and she says, it's sad, you know, like a little, I like the Nynaeve, Leanne, Trin dynamic, and I like when they kind of go at it. So I would have added maybe something with Logain in there.
The first thing doesn't really take up any time, but you know, different dresses on the second day for all the Aes Sedai sitters.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, these are the Aes Sedai. They just it's not realistic in my opinion. Yes, a show with magic is realistic sometimes, but what I really want is I want to see Perrin and Egwene meeting Loyal, and then telling Loyal their little story, because
that would have been. I didn't think about
solid.
that.
Solid.
All of a sudden, they know, and you know, they rode up to the hill, up to that supposed to be a way gate, but it's not really a way gate structure.
And there's
so
this dude.
He somehow met them. We saw Rain meet him. I'd like to see the others meet him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And more
great
Loyal.
point.
Just I've gotten over Loyal's design, but that voice is just perfect.
Perfect.
I mean that the voice, that what they've done with
I think so
Hamad's voice, you know, and then what they've done digitally to it,
I think they
just
did great.
blows me away.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. So do I tell my 5 minutes now?
Yeah, go for it.
Different Waygate too, but go ahead.
My 5 minutes I wouldn't have changed anything other than the fact that in the book, during their journey, you know, the flight down the Roniel, all those other, you know, to get to Tarvalin after all the things that they've done, or to get to Camelin, actually, they showed some interaction with the Shadow and some of the things that they were doing, like how Gold was, you know, punished for not catching them. And we saw, you know, there were other, I would have had, for my 5 minutes, would have been a meeting of the Shadow and possibly even just Ingtar talking to someone and them saying they are coming, be ready. Just that. Just so you saw some more opposition. That's what I think. You know, you got to have, like, it is the wheel of time. You got the yin and yang. You got to see what the Shadow's doing too.
Yeah.
You know? So I thought that would have been, if we would have saw Ingtar being told that they were coming, even if it was just a quick scene of him being like mysteriously bad or something like that, I think that would have helped with a lot of like audiences with oh, something's coming, you know, even though they didn't know what it was. But I would like to see some more Dark Friends, some more of their interactions too.
My 5 minutes, I would have liked to have seen Loyal finding Nynaeve. And then, I think that moment would have been cool. Like, she's never seen an Ogier. They have to go through that. How does he put 2 and 2 together and all that? I would have loved to have seen that. I imagine it was probably filmed and then taken out, but I imagine it happened in the persimmon.
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I imagine it's in the persimmon garden, right? Like they probably was out there. He was probably just.
That's probably exactly what. You know what? That makes so much sense.
Yeah, I think
exactly how they would have done it. Yeah, that makes sense. He
was giving a tree a heart on, and he was singing wood. And no, I don't know what he'd be doing. I think he'd just be walking around. I do like the idea. That 2 things could have happened. Also, that could have been the Logain scene, like you said, could have happened, and then progressing into Loyal coming in and finding Nynaeve. It could all have been from Nynaeve's POV too. I think that could have worked out.
Nice.
What were you gonna say, Dan?
I was gonna say, yeah, you just have that persimmon scene where Nynaeve is talking to Leandrin. Leandrin's like, "Oh yes, I'm glad you looked at the persimmons." She's like, "Oh yeah, we don't have persimmons in the Two Rivers." Right then, in the background, Loyal's walking by. He's like,
Two Rivers.
You say Two Rivers?
Oh, that's beautiful.
My friend Rand Althorn, Matt Cawthon, or not even Matt Cawthon, Rand Althor. And she goes, Rand Althor, and they leave. And then Leandrin just gives her cheekbone stare. And then later she is able to confront Moraine about it, saying, "Oh, Rand Althor, I keep hearing this name," kind of thing.
Awesome.
So Leandrin premieres on Moraine and on them too. So maybe that's how they found out where they were, because she knew about Matt Cawthon right before Moraine threatened her with her knowledge of the guy that she has.
Yeah.
I think at one point,
I still want to know where
Loyal says that he noticed the long braid and that, the type of braid.
Yeah.
See, I remember hearing him on the show talking about the braids being a significant cultural custom of
the Two Rivers, yes.
The Two Rivers. I think that was the last episode he said that he was talking about that. So I think he noticed Nynaeve's braid.
Yes.
Oh, that works
and
too.
said something to
He
her.
did. They said it was nice. No, and it was perfect for Loyal to start with that information, like being long-winded and everything. And I love how Rand's always like, "Okay, Loyal, just that's all I needed to know." I like
even Moraine cuts him off in this episode. He starts saying, and she's like, "Oh, thank you, Builder. That'll do." Everyone's cutting off Loyal, which is true to the books.
Yep.
It is true to the books. All right, we are wrapping up. Jansen, you need to head out. I'm going to do an ad read, and then we can wrap it up. If you want to say goodbye, you can jump out right now.
We love doing this every week. This is part of my heart now, and I love all of you and all the people who watch and all of your information. Let's keep it going. I love how we give and take and how all of you guys' point of view means something. So this is awesome. You guys have a great week, and I'll see you guys next time.
Awesome. Peace out.
See you later.
I love you, brother.
Be seeing you.
All right. So last order of business. We have our second sponsor, which is the original sponsor, Village Mattress.
The OG.
Everyone,
The OG
All right,
Village
so
Mattress.
we are proud to announce to the Wheel of Time community that you no longer have to suffer from a restless night of sleep in your life again. Remember back in the days when you were reading Wheel of Time for the first time and you lost tons and tons of sleep? You told yourself it was because the books were so great, but it's actually your mattress and beddings. Guys, our friend Village Mattress wants to help all the Wheel Timers get the best night's sleep, and he's offering he's offering a 30 to 50% discount on your entire order of what's called Maloof products, and you'll know what I mean when you go to his website. Maloof products are great. Some conditions may apply. Certain retailers do not allow discounts, like Tempur-Pedic, but if he can find a discount, he will give it to you. And if your jaw is dropping right now, you either have a serious medical condition or you understand how rare a 30 to 50% off deal for high-end mattresses, bedding, bed frames, and more. Village Mattress. So what do? You go to the website, you look at what you like.
Ryan, I don't have email. Can I just contact him directly?
Well, absolutely. He is a Wheel of Time fan, and he will talk you through the whole process. You can call or text Chris. That's right, his name is Chris. 317-523-6831. 317-523-6831, or email him at villagemattress@gmail.com.
Guys, it's a very small business. It's family owned. He is a big supporter of our community and of our show. Every charity stream that goes on, he is on top of it. He is a part of. So if you're thinking about,
and he's a great part of the chat.
Yes, if you're thinking about upping your sleep game just a little bit, man. I mean, seriously, we're all adults now. We're not freaking 15. Go get a good bed. Go get a good mattress. It matters.
Go get it.
I sleep so well. Like even good sheets. Just having like that Egyptian thread. Oh man, my sleep game is top notch. And
all right, one more. We got merch. www.newcreationsbyjen.com.
Hey,
go to collections.
Is that a new model?
The Way of the Leaf. Yes, we have.
Yeah, it's a red. A newly unbanned model.
Yeah. She's free to express herself. Yeah, there's shot glasses. There's mugs. There's t-shirts. Do you want to look good? Do you want to feel good? Do you want to smell good? Go to newcreationsbyjen.com.
Wait,
All
we have a
right.
fragrance. Wait, we have a fragrance, right?
Yeah,
Do we have a
yeah.
way to leave fragrance?
What
Yeah,
does
I've
smell
captured the smell of my hand as it comes out of this puppet after a 2-hour show.
This thing?
Oh.
Yes, the best smell in the world, guys. All right,
Oh,
Jen, Keeper of the
smell.
Chronicle, Glenn, what do you guys have coming up?
We are continuing our discussions right now of the Sandman season 1 and how it's an adaptation of the comics, but we're also discussing the audible books audio drama of the Sandman, which is pretty phenomenal. And not long after that, we are going to be starting with The Expanse season 2. Jen's got a bunch of reading ahead of her to get ready for that.
Yes, I'm
I hear
excited
you,
about
Jen.
it. Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
How about
that's what we've
are
got
you
right now.
doing a thing on Enter Sandman by Metallica?
No, we haven't really done any music yet. I'd have to see the music origins of that song to see where it's an adaptation of. But
Yeah, it
Yeah,
started with a
sometime
James
next year.
Taylor folk song. Yeah, there's a whole story about
Exit
it. Yeah.
light, enter
I wouldn't
night.
be surprised.
Yeah.
Take my
Uh-huh.
hand off to Never Never Land. That's
But next
probably-
year we've got we got Jim. We got The Witcher season 3, The Eye of the World, or The Wheel of Time season 2. We might be doing Shadow and Bone. We're not sure, but we're also going to be doing another few weeks on Dune again, like we did last year, with Andrew coming back and MaTsDaGgerX coming back
Beautiful.
to discuss the long version of the 1984 Dune movie instead of the short one that we all suffered through. And that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And Jen's going to be there for yep. But yeah,
Yeah.
we're recreating we're bringing back the panels we had for our Dune series last year and doing 3 new ones this year. So
Mhm.
other than that, we're not yet sure what else we might be doing this year because each of these shows takes up a good chunk of the year. Yes, he's recording Salmon in a little while here with the rest of the team.
Oh, Matt
And that feels-
Stagger, guys.
Yep.
Go
Right now with
support
the
Matt
Sandman,
Stagger.
Bill's my stand-in on recording to make sure we have 3 people recording there. So
Yeah.
Well, I love what you guys are doing. Honestly, I totally
Thank
do.
you.
I love your esoteric titles to your videos. I never know what I'm going to see. I'm like, what?
I
what
go
is this
overboard
now?
sometimes. I go really overboard sometimes on those.
So
I need to
Well, that's
pull it back a little.
well, keep it going, man.
Okay.
Push it. That's as Salt and Pepper said.
Push
Push
it real
it.
good.
all right.
Push
So
it good.
before we
Yeah.
leave, I have a favor to ask. We are allowed to sing Happy Birthday, right? It's now
Yeah,
legal.
yeah.
Okay, all right. So my daughter Layla, my stepdaughter Layla, I married
Ooh.
into a beautiful, beautiful family, and I have a daughter who's turning 14. And
Ooh,
she is a very special child with special needs, and I want to sing happy birthday to her, and I will show it to her, and she will love it. Can we do this?
Yes.
Can we? Do you know the song, Glenn?
I think I might have heard it.
There's this one note. I think I can't wait to hear you.
Yeah, we're
you know,
gonna do it in
No,
C, right?
I'll be
Are we
singing
doing
real
it in
quiet
C
'cause
or G. Right.
I'm the one who slaughters Bob Dylan during karaoke. So
That's awesome because you're going for accuracy. All right, everyone. on
Jen,
count-
what's your karaoke song?
My karaoke song?
Yeah.
I've never had one. I don't do karaoke, but this will be fun.
Oh,
This will be
okay.
good.
Never done karaoke? Ever?
I think actually once, but it was a long time ago. I don't remember what I
Okay.
sang.
Okay. All right,
Mine's
sorry.
My Way by Frank Sinatra.
That's
All
great.
of course.
All right. Me,
Mine is
me.
Superstitious by Herbie
All right,
Hancock.
so my daughter's name is
No.
Layla. All right, so everyone,
Layla.
Layla. All right, on the count. All right, happy
Happy
birthday
birthday
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Layla. Happy birthday to you. Oh, guys, you guys, I'll never forget that. All right, everyone. The show's ending.
14,
Thanks for
wow.
hanging out with us. We'll see you next week. As always, run
Thanks
for your
for having us on.
lives. This is the way of the leaf.